A Letter to God. CBSE Class 10 English Chapter 1 Notes. Chapter Sketch and Characters. The story recounts the hard life and extreme faith in God of a poor farmer Lencho, who has lost his crop due to heavy rain and hailstones. It was the only source of income to fulfill his family's desires. He firmly believes that God will help him in such a situation and would not let him and his family die due to hunger. He writes a letter to God to seek help. Some kind employees of the post office helped him. So the story tells us to have faith in God and never lose hope in adverse situations. Let's talk about the characters. Lencho is a poor farmer who lives on the crest of a low hill with his family. He was a firm believer of God. He is innocent, hopeful, caring, and responsible. Postmaster is a fat, amiable fellow who helped Lencho to retain his faith in God. He gave a part of his salary in the charity of Lencho on behalf of God. Post office employees are the people who helped Lencho on postmaster's call. They laughed at Lencho when they saw the letter but helped him in his need. Lencho called them a bunch of crooks. Overview. Lencho's hope of good harvest. Lencho was a farmer who lived on the crest of a low hill with his family. His was only house in the entire valley. His field was full of ripe corn and easily visible from his house. He was eagerly waiting for a good rain to have a good harvest so he could earn money from his family. Turning of Lencho's hope into despair. As Lencho hoped, it started raining at the time of supper, which gave Lencho a ray of hope. He was extremely happy to see that. He compared the raindrops as silver coins, which showed his joy. But soon his joy turned into despair as the rain changed into hailstones, which ruined the crops. The field has been covered with snow like a layer of white salt. Lencho was worried for his family. Lencho's firm belief in God. Though Lencho was a poor farmer and had lost all his crops, he had firm faith in God. He found a God he found in God his last hope and decided to write a letter to God for help. He asked God to send him 100 pesos so that he can sow his field again and support his family until the new crops were harvested. He also wrote that if God didn't help him, his family would die in hunger. The postmaster's reaction on Lencho's letter. After reading Lencho's letter to God, the postmaster laughed, but soon realized that Lencho had firm faith in God and his belief should not be shaken. So he decided to help Lencho with the help of his post office employees. He collected 70 pesos and handed the envelope to Lencho himself, in which he also contributed a part of his salary. Lencho gets angry at receiving less money. Lencho became angry when he saw 70 pesos in the envelope as he demanded 100 pesos. He did not believe that God could do so and send less money. So he decided to write a letter again for the rest of the money. This time he requested God not to send the rest of money but through the letter because he thought that the post office employees were a bunch of crooks who might have stolen his money. So let's look at the chapter highlights. Lencho's hope of good rain to have a good crops. It rained, but the rain soon changed into hailstones. Lencho had firm faith in God. Lencho writes a letter to God to help him. Lencho asks God to send him 100 pesos. Postmaster and other employees laugh at Lencho's letter to God. Postmaster decides to help Lencho in his problem. Postmaster wants every employee to help in his noble deed. Postmaster collects 70 pesos and gives the envelope to Lencho himself. Lencho gets angry after getting 70 pesos amount as he asks for 100 pesos. Lencho calls the employees of post office a bunch of crooks as he thinks that they have stolen the rest of amount. Lencho again writes a letter to God to send him rest of the money. Lencho has firm faith in magnanimity of God and God never betrays the trust of a believer. Now let's look at the summary of this chapter. Lencho's house and the crop. Lencho had his lonely house in the valley. It was situated on top of a low hill. From there, one could see the river and the fields. Lencho had a good crop, but it needed rains badly. It starts raining. Lencho saw the sky in the north. It had rain clouds. His wife was preparing the dinner. He told her that God willing it would rain. Soon big drops of rain began to fall. Lencho went out to feel the rain on his body. He was very glad. He said that drops of rain were new coins. Hailstorm and loss therefrom. But soon the hail rained everywhere. The field became white as if it is covered with salt. The crop was totally destroyed. Lencho became sad. He felt that they would go hungry that year. Also, they would have no seeds for next crop. Lencho writes to God. But Lencho had a single hope, that is, help from God. He was sure that no one dies of hunger. He had a great belief in God. The following Sunday, he went to the post office. He wrote a letter to God to send him 100 pesos. He wrote God as the address. Postmaster collects money for Lencho. An employee of the post office showed this letter to postmaster. The postmaster laughed seeing this address. He wished to have such faith in God. He had an idea to answer the letter, but reading it, he found that the writer needed money. It was to keep the faith of the writer. So he asked all his friends and employees to give some money. Money sent to Lento. The postmaster could collect only 70 pesos. This way put the money in an envelope and addressed it to Lento. He wrote a single word on it, God, as a signature. Lencho receives the money. The following Sunday, Lencho came to the post office. He asked if there was any letter for him. He was given that letter. Lencho did not show any surprise on seeing the money. He got angry when he counted the money. He felt that God couldn't have made the mistake. Lencho's letter to God calls post office employees crooks. Immediately, Lencho wrote another letter to God. He put it into the mailbox. The postmaster opened it. Lencho had written letter in that letter that he had received only 70 pesos, but he had asked for 100 pesos. He asked God to send him the rest, but God should not send it through mail. It was because the post office employees were crooks.